All right, welcome back, everyone. We're gonna start our final panel. So if you are not back to your computer but can hear me, as Julia says, follow the sound of my voice. Maybe that was not helpful, but anyway, come on back. We're gonna have our last panel of the summit on resource recovery portable toilets. I'm really excited that there's enough folks doing something in this that we can have a panel on it. I feel like so often when I'm out in the world talking about what we do, one of the first things people say is, have you ever thought about having portable toilets? That seems like a really great way to start. And I'm like, yeah, we have them. So I'm excited that we're not the only one, and other people have thought about it, and other people have done something about it as well. So let's hear from a few of those. We're gonna start with Jojo Casanova-Linder. If you're here, I'll let Julia do the whole co-hosting. You already did it.
Yes, great. I'm here.
Wonderful. So Jojo is the co-founder of Kompotoi in Switzerland. Jojo was a project manager and event organizer and has organized sports events. Through studying permaculture, he became aware of compost toilets and wanted a better solution for the event industry. Go ahead and share your screen.
Yes, I'm coming from Switzerland, and we run a porta potty rental company, I guess you would say to them. And yeah, first, I think I show you in the presentation why we're doing this. And the idea came actually up at an event when I needed to go to pee. And then I was in the front of the plastic chemical toilet, and I was just thinking about, I mean, what are they doing? They collecting actually very resourceful products and then dump it in the front of the wastewater treatment plant, and in the water the resources or the nutritions are looked as a pollution, so they need energy to take out the pollutions out of the water. While on the other side, the farmers import a lot of nutrition, phosphorus, and so on. So it makes absolutely no sense. And instead of just doing like another plastic toilet, just in composting, we decided to do something completely different, where the user are like feel much more welcome or cozy. And that's how our normal classic Kompotoi toilet looks from inside. You see it has on the left side a urinal, and of course a sitting toilet, and also on the right you see the small shovel you need to cover up your business after you're done. And yeah, the beginning was actually quite hard, or I would say we did probably 100,000 failures, as probably a lot of startups doing. Yeah, we literally took the wood out of a big bin, uh, put together the first cabin, and then we tried it out on the first event. And luckily, the people, they were too shy to say that's no good, not a good idea. So they said we should progress. So we did. Next year we did 3 more prototypes, and the next year 10, and then 30, and then 50, and then 100, and then 400. And we run around 1,000 units right now in Switzerland. And what we really recognized quite in the beginning is that, of course, what we do is actually a lot. I mean, next to building wooden small houses, it is a lot of transportation and service. And in, you know, Switzerland is small, but of course, the word was spread quite fast. So we got calls from 2 or 3 hours away from our headquarters, where people were asking, hey, we would like to rent one of your beautiful toilets, or 2 or 3 or whatever. And it was a huge effort to drive so far. So we decided actually to figure out a partnership model to make possible that other companies, local companies, can implement our product in their area. And that's how we growed quite good in the last 2 or 3 years. So we have 9 partners right now running composting toilets in their area. So we don't need to drive so far to serve other areas. And we also have a bit different targeting group than the plastic chemical industry. So what I know, the plastic chemical toilet, they were invented because of mostly construction sites need some solution for the workers. And of course, after everyone knows that there are mobile toilets, they are also used for events and also in public and in touristic areas. But we really set the focus on this area so that we don't fight too much with the other companies, and we even want to work together with them because we think we can help them to have something new in their portfolio, and it's better to work together than against each other. So I have here some picture from our use case. Of course, we do a lot of events, mostly not huge ones, mostly very small ones. Now we just got the biggest conversation for next year. It's about 90 toilets, so it's not a big event, but at least for composting toilet, it's quite good to have events like this. But we have much more, like every weekend we have some with 5 toilets there, 2 toilets there, 3 toilets there, and 1 there, and so on. And what we also do, which is probably more similar or like the chemical toilets, is that we have a lot of long-term use cases. For example, here, this is the handicap-free toilet we have, which is really good requested from public communities for their playgrounds or public spaces. And also we have a lot of them in touristic area. And for example, the biggest customer from us is the city of Zurich. They have a lot of public places. And in summertime, they were used a lot more than in wintertime. In wintertime, if you have children, of course, you go to the playground, but after 10 minutes, you're freezing, so you need to go home. You don't need a toilet. But in summertime, you maybe take something to grill with you, you meet with other friends, you play the whole day, and then you need to go to the toilet. So we have a lot of contracts. They rent us for 6 or mostly 9 months just in the summertime. And the city of Zurich, for example, they say, look, if we need to do a public toilet on every playground, that costs a lot of money to build that durable building. But if we work together with you, we have on a relatively cheap base, we can have a high quality toilet for the public. And I always make the example for a politician, if he puts a plastic chemical toilet on the playground, then the next day he probably got 3 phone calls because people are complaining in the front of their house, there is this ugly toilet and the chemical smells and so on. But if they book a Kompotoi, they hopefully got also 3 phone calls, but the phone calls, they will say like, thank you very much, you gave us a really nice toilet in our neighborhood. Beautiful idea, and it fits so well in the surroundings and so on. So exactly, this is another use case you see here in a public playground. Of course, we have looked also on the market, and it's really interesting. I mean, even in the small country of Switzerland with 7 million inhabitants, we have 30,000 mobile toilets. And I guess we have a potential of up to 20% of the composting toilets. And if we look of the worldwide market, there is a huge demand for mobile toilet. It was growing the last 10 years already. So it's a very interesting market, and we really want to change how this market is looking at the material right now. It should not be trash. It should be looked at as a resource. Of course, that's not super simple to do that. We also have issue, how you say that, with the regulation here in Switzerland. We're, I would say, very happy it's not so strict as it is in the rest of the EU. As I told probably 7 times, Switzerland is very small, so we can actually, we have quite a good relationship to the government, and they also see the necessary, because they have their agenda for 2030. They should be more circular and so on. So they're really willing to looking at. They don't have so much resources to look at, but we are very happy. We have founded also an association 2.5 years ago, where we did more research and really how you say that, political work, and that progresses very well. So we have really good tests where show that our compost is in a very good condition and safe. That's for them very important that we can prove that, and I think we have now reached a level where we really good can prove that. And the same also in Germany, there is another association working on the same field, so we can work together, which helps a lot. So what you see here is actually our composting site. It's not a very big one, but still they have around 4,000 tons of material a year. We ourselves, we process probably 150 cubic a year, but not all in this area, because we serve from different area, as I told you before. But here he can actually really put that material just in his running progress. He don't need to set up a special something, because in the way he treats the material, he anyway gets the heat that destroys the pathogen. And at the end of the process, they filter the material. So even if we have some vodka bins and underwear and also hygiene material, it will come out at the end before the compost goes into the field.
Yo, just a time
And
check. We're a little over 10 minutes, so I'm not sure how far you are from the end of
okay,
your...
I'm very close.
Okay, great.
With urine, we also did some tests, and we are very happy that we have the spin-off Wuna very close to us, so we can bring some of the material to there to make liquid fertilizer, but the scale is not close to where we want it to be. We would love to have our own machine and really have 100% recycled. Yes, that's it. So if you're interested to run a porta potty rental company, or know someone who could be really interested in it, get in touch with us. Thank you very much. And I'm open for questions later.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Yo-Yo. Your toilets are just so beautiful, and I really love the partnership model that you're working on. Next up, we have Benson Colella. Benson holds an MS and a BS in chemical engineering from Worcester Polytechnic Institute. Benson was introduced to urine diversion as an intern of the Rich Earth Institute back in 2019, where he worked on the development of a urine freeze concentrator, among other assignments. He's excited to continue the work of reclaiming resources from human waste As an engineer at Wasted in Burlington, Vermont, Benson takes pleasure in making use of discarded or overlooked resources, and he enjoys foraging, canning, and brewing, dumpster diving, and tinkering. And Benson is here today, so I'll invite him on up.
Hi all, I'm Benson representing Wasted, a public benefit corporation out of Burlington, Vermont, that seeks to more sustainably and circularly treat human waste, beginning with portable toilets. And I'll be speaking to resource recovery from portable toilets, particularly the role that characterization will play in designing treatment. All right, so Wasted Labs is the portion of the company devoted to treatment and R&D, with the mission to develop and deploy circular processing technology to recover water and nutrients from human waste. Currently, we land apply a nitrogen-rich urine-derived fertilizer to pasture land with our farm partners. And as part of our treatment train, we strip that urine of phosphorus as struvite because the Champlain Valley where we work is phosphorus constrained. So I'd like to just take a minute to thank Brightwater Tools for our pasteurizer and our struvite reactor, which work very well. So right now we fully treat our urine, but we're exploring opportunities to fully treat our mixed waste. And our mixed waste right now is tipped or disposed of at a local wastewater treatment plant. So why portable toilets? Well, we've heard this week that a big challenge in nutrient recovery is the logistics of moving material around. Urine is very heavy, but with portable toilets, there's already a need to move material above ground. So whether a porta potty is urine diverting or not, that same weight of material needs to be trucked. So that's an opportunity. And just to explain how it works for us at Wasted, we don't have composting toilets. They're more traditional wet porta potties, where the mixed waste tank is charged with water and an additive to obscure waste and hide smell. And about 30% of our fleet has urine diversion as a pilot. And the urine is diverted through a standing urinal into a bladder that's held within the mixed waste tank, so it's out of sight. And I'll just note that porta potties are often neglected in academic literature in terms of the potential for resource recovery and even as basic as general characterization. Nope. So here's one of our toilets on site. So we must know the characteristics of waste to design any sort of treatment and resource recovery. For a biological treatment, for instance, you obviously need, or you might not obviously, but you need to know the biochemical oxygen demand. And we found only one paper that describes partially the characteristics of portable toilet waste, but it lacked any information regarding nutrient or elemental concentrations. And some of those characteristics of interest to us are measurements of solids, chemical and biochemical oxygen demand, which are measurements of organic material, and then nitrogen, phosphorus, and other elements, nutrients there. Some more toilets on site. And our first approach for characterization was from the ground up, based on existing literature data of the composition of poop and pee and our estimated fill rates of portable toilets. This was essentially a spreadsheet exercise, not real lab work. We knew that people produce poop and pee at particular rates, and a toilet fills to about 10 gallons. So we could do a mass balance to get some rough ideas of what is in a portable toilet, because we really had no idea at the start. And this was, although pretty rough, it was a very useful exercise, and I'll describe a bit more why later. So here I am pouring out homogenized portable toilet waste, which is a polite way of saying blended porta potty smoothies. I'm very glad to be done with that for a while anyway. So our second approach for characterization were actual physical measurements of portable toilets by different use cases. So we needed real data to design treatment for our waste and to meet the unmet analysis that we just couldn't find. So we physically sampled and analyzed toilet data from 3 different use cases. Those were long-term urine diverting toilets that were used throughout the workday. Similarly, long-term toilets without urine diversion, and short-term event toilets for things like concerts and parties, again, without diversion. So for each use case, we built a composite of 5 different toilet samples. stirring the tank to mix the waste as best we could, sampling, pooling, and homogenizing. We sampled much more material than we needed because we did not know if we could get analysis right the first time around. We also conducted sampling in triplicate because we expected sampling to be a non-trivial aspect of this analysis. Porta potties have a range of textures and consistencies. There's liquids and solids, so we wanted to make sure we were consistent and representative in how we made these measurements. Here we have our pump truck, or one of our pump trucks on the right. And you can't tell from the outside, but the tank is split into 3 parts, one for source separated urine, 1 part for mixed waste, and 1 part for processed water. And that pickup ahead of us is a farm partner's urine applicator with some tubing low to the ground to reduce losses there and prevent burning leaves. So this is the big outcome of that study. This is a plot of ammonium nitrogen in portable toilet mixed waste. And as we've heard this week, ammonium nitrogen is the dominant form of nitrogen in mixed waste once urine is hydrolyzed. So on the far right, you can see with urine diversion, there's about 40% less nitrogen in the mixed waste. And not shown here, there's also about 50% less volume of mixed waste with urine diversion because urine is a huge part of the volume there. So with urine diversion, we are sending much less nitrogen and much less volume to a wastewater treatment plant. And by extrapolating this data, we can expect to divert about 6 pounds of nitrogen per year for each diverting toilet. Now, the next slide is very exciting to me. We just got this in this morning. We sampled, in addition to toilets by use case, which was going to be helpful for us to see how our characteristics might change if we were to do more event toilets or more long-term. We sampled our whole truck, and this is the first full wastewater characterization of portable toilets in the US and the most full characterization to date. So pretty excited about this. Yeah. Some more porta potty smoothies. And that relates to this. I've spoken to nutrients and water, but another piece of this puzzle is carbon in terms of emissions and energy potential. So you can think of a porta potty tank as the first step in treatment in a biological reactor, whether we like it or not, because the bacteria are going to be churning away. And since a porta potty is not aerated, we can expect biological activity to be dominantly anaerobic and methane generating. And it's reported that 87% of on-site methane emissions or on-site emissions are generated during containment. So as waste sits in a tank. Now, if we could stop bacteria from working, we might reduce on-site emissions and preserve that energy value for captured biogas production later in treatment. But we're not sure we want to do that. The traditional practice, even to this day for porta potty operators, is to use a biocide that kills bacteria in the toilet tank. It reduces smell, but it's not amenable to the wastewater treatment plant where waste ends up. And it's not something we want to put in the environment. So we don't use a biocide, but we're exploring biocide as a control along with a biostatic and some other natural additives to see how additives affect emissions potential. And in that experiment, we're using chemical oxygen demand and the difference in chemical oxygen demand for different time points as a proxy for emissions potential. So here we have a solar farm at one of our farm partners where sheep graze in between the panels. So we've applied there and sheep get to eat the grass fertilized by urine. I think that's a great picture. So in conclusion, portable toilets have the potential for the recovery of nutrients, water, and energy. In terms of nutrients, since we began collecting urine in April, we've processed about 1,400 gallons of urine for application with the farm partner. We're exploring treatment for the recovery of water, and we're exploring the impact of portable toilet additive on methane emissions and the potential for energy recovery. Characterization is a first step towards more sustainable treatment and resource recovery. And I'd like to thank the Rich Earth for hosting us, our partners at Georgia Institute of Technology for analytical support, and thank you all for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Benson. I'm really excited to look at that characterization. That's really exciting. Our final presenter of the day is also in the room. It's Arthur Davis with Rich Earth Institute. Arthur holds a BA in Geology and Environmental Studies from Oberlin College and has been working with, Has been working with alternative sanitation systems since 2013. This includes working on the living machine wastewater system at Oberlin and work as a marine engineer on an educational tall ship in the Puget Sound region. He's excited to be in Brattleboro, Vermont, where he grew up, working toward completing the food nutrient cycle. At Rich Earth, Arthur directs Rich Earth's community scale urine recycling program, the urine nutrient reclamation program, coordinates the portable toilet service, and works on technical and agricultural research projects. He also works as an R&D engineer at Rich Earth's spin-off company, Brightwater Tools. Take it away, Arthur.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Before I totally get started, just a big thank you to my colleagues Jamina Shupak, Cole Taranis, and Greg Riley. I think Greg is not here today, but we between us, we are the predominant operators of the portable toilet stuff that I'm going to talk about. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about, let me just make sure I know how to go forward and back. Awesome. So we got into so I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple parts of our portable toilet system that we run. A little bit of the history of our portable toilet business, how we retrofit toilets, what our toilets kind of look like out in the field when you walk into them, adaptability of our system to other contexts, operations, and then takeaways at the end. So yeah, we've been running this portable toilet business since about 2018. We started out primarily just doing pee-only toilets. So obviously the big drawback to this is that events and job sites or other places that want to rent a portable toilet, we couldn't provide them with a full solution because if people are at an event and they want to use the toilet, they might need to do more than just pee. So the pee-only toilets were really great in that we didn't have to deal with anything besides urine, but we kind of got our hand forced to deal with the solid side as well, because by doing that, we create a thing that people want and are willing to pay for. So we retrofit conventional portable toilets, as you can see in this picture. So the outside of the unit looks fairly similar to a standard conventional portable toilet. We've now in the last year or so, we've also added a service where we are now able to accept compost toilet waste from local people who have compost toilets who don't have a good way to deal with that material on site, and provides another legal avenue with otherwise in the state of Vermont, most of the legal avenues for dealing with compost toilet waste do not actually include beneficial reuse of said compost. We are looking towards doing future on-site composting ourselves. Currently, we are trucking that material off to a treatment plant that does do biosolids composting, but it is getting mixed with the treatment plant sludge that's getting composted. And in the time since 2018 and 2023, it's been a really successful kind of business venture, revenue generator for our organization, which has been a really kind of great benefit as well. So the retrofitting process, we build new commodes. So we take the old tanks out, or in the case now, we just buy the toilets just as shells. So we build new commodes out of painted plywood, and we house in them a urine tank for the urinal and a bin with sawdust for the sit-down toilet. In the future, we're very interested in the dry flush thing that Karsten with Finizio was demonstrating yesterday, and also interested in potential collaboration for kind of a non-DIY commode solution, more with industry partners, but that probably a little ways in the future. So when you walk, or if you kind of peel back the the facade, so to speak, of our toilets, this is what they look like. On that picture on the right, you can see the urine tank on the left underneath the urinal, as well as the bin underneath the sit-down toilet. The black bucket there is full of sawdust for people to add to the sit-down toilet when they're done. And the on the bottom picture there, you can see our pump out mechanism for the urine tank. For the solids container, we just pull that container right out, cap it right there. It's got a locking lid, so contains the waste very well as we are going. So this is what you see when you walk in. We've gotten very great benefit or feedback from users. There's obviously no splashback issue because your waste is hitting a dry sawdust pile. There's no chemical smell. Previously deposited waste is hopefully buried in sawdust if other people have done their job, which is mostly the case. And the waste is going to be recycled, and I think that people really enjoy that. There is the user challenge of because it's not a liquid in there, it doesn't distribute evenly, so there is some amount of mountain building that can happen in there. Many people, at least in the US, sometimes have some amount of pushback to any kind of behavior change. So thus far, we have found that adding sawdust is not too onerous, but it is a little bit of a change that people need to do. So we've also been able to deploy this same system into other structures. So this is an accessible ADA accessible structure that we built for a local farmers market. We are working currently with in the planning stage with a number of schools as well as outdoor programs. There's been a big since the pandemic, there's been a huge boom in this area of like outdoor programs in schools, which means that they have a lot of outdoor sanitation needs that they never had before. So that's been really kind of exciting, and we're working through kind of the planning stages of what that's going to look like. But this basic system with this bin has been really has felt like it is quite adaptable to a number of situations. So operations benefits kind of this system is that a lot of the liquid, approximately half of the liquid is able to be pumped right out of the toilet, reducing the weight of the solids bin, because we are handling those solids bins by hand or on a hand truck. User error is fairly rare. I would say the biggest user error that happens is putting sawdust into the urinal, which isn't a huge deal, but it is kind of annoying for us operators. And then the lever locking bins provide a really strong and secure containment for waste during transport, which is a upgrade from our previous containment. Challenges by doing it by having a sawdust bin based container based system, unlike the wasted system, there is a lot more manual labor.
Are you so sure that Bucky's friends are coming? I'm not positive.
Someone else is talking there. I'm not sure who that is, but other operational challenges are that we currently are relying on a third party to do
Bucky wrote back to the CAC and said he was going to be in Syracuse.
If you'd be willing not to stop talking, thank you. Great. Thank you. I think you're muted now. Right, we to do that solids composting, but we are now permitted to do that ourselves, and are hoping to plan and be able to do that potentially as early as next season. lastly, it's really exciting to hear about things like Jojo's program in Switzerland. Fabian was just telling me that in France there are more than dozens of companies that are doing this with resource recovery portable toilets, with Wasted now doing this on a bigger scale. And I think from our perspective, coming from the nonprofit world, the portable toilet business for us provides a great education and outreach platform for our mission, as in addition to recycling human waste for beneficial reuse and providing revenue. But it does, and it also opens our programs to dealing with full toilet waste, both in terms of portable toilets and in terms of helping locals who have composting toilets at their homes. But it does, there is kind of we don't have the same for-profit structure. So, a lot of the back end parts of our process are supported by our ongoing programs of the nonprofit. And we don't have that kind of need to have it be funding everything. So I think there's kind of some, we sit in a little bit of a different place than a lot of these other companies that are getting started. But hopefully, hopefully some of the technical ideas that we've been putting into practice can be useful for other people starting these kinds of programs in other places. So thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Arthur, and all of the panelists. We're going to take just a couple questions. We are a little bit short on time, but we'll take the first question for Jenna, and this is for Benson. So I don't know if you went too far. Benson, come back. Is the diversion from the urinal, or do you also have a diverting seat? And love that you have a split truck for the urine collection. That was just a celebration, not a question.
So it's a real quick one. Right now we just have urine diversion in urinals. And it works out pretty well for us because our long-term rentals are largely construction companies, which happen to be largely people with anatomy that are amenable to urinals that are up and standing on the wall.
Don't go anywhere.
Yep.
Okay, another question for you. How were you funded initially? Seems like a major operation.
I think Abby can speak a bit better to that.
Hey, I'm the Chief Technology Officer at Wasted, and we have been funded by venture capital. So we've raised a little over 7 million in venture capital funding to fund our operation.
Thanks, Abby. Yeah. And Haley, did you have a question as well? Come on up.
I love two-part questions, and this one is I'm curious what your educational components are, if you're putting up different types of signs when people are in the restrooms, and then along with that, if you have done any collection of perceptions or survey work or tested different types of educational messaging, maybe specific to your audience, and I'm curious if that's of interest to you all as well. So anyone who feels inspired to respond to that.
I think we'll do a quick response from each panelist, and then I think that'll be the end of this panel. May want to go first? Yo, you got it? Oh, are you still there, Yo-Yo?
Yes.
Awesome.
I'm here, but I don't get it. What was the question?
What kind of educational materials do you have in your systems, if any?